What are the key skills that will define the future generation of finance leaders?
A leader within the organization, how do you then step up and lead the team to cross? I would say being an effective finance leader is to really understand your numbers. When you are caught in a difficult situation or caught in a major project, you can't really work through it on your own. Right? You do need to have a good working team. Might not just be within the finance, it could be a cross-functional team. I must say that being an accountant is not an easy profession.
Hello and welcome to the SG Finance Show. I'm Anurag Gupta, finance and consulting professional, and I'm joined behind the scenes by my partner, my friend Kushal Jaju, the FP and AI guy we used to fondly call him. He's also bringing a quality amount of experience in finance. So we are truly excited to bring this platform to life today. The idea behind this podcast, originally conceived by Kushal Jaju, later supported by me, was driven by a simple but yet powerful objective: creating a space where the Singapore's leading finance professional can share not just their professional achievements, but also stories behind their journeys, the challenges they faced, the turning points, the lessons learned, and the insights that don't always go into the textbooks or boardrooms conversations. Our vision is to inspire the next generation of finance professionals, empower aspiring leaders, and creating a finance community by learning directly from those who walk the path. And today we are delighted to have with us a very distinguished guest, Melanie Wong. She is a finance leader with more than 20 years of experience across different organizations and multiple fields in accounting and finance. She started her career from operational finance over time and evolved into strategy, transformation, and organizational relationship, leadership. Melanie, it's wonderful to have you today. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. And I'm really excited, to be part of this program and your show.
Thank you. And you have had such an inspiring journey, and I'm very looking forward to unpacking some of the leadership and some other real stories behind it. So I'll just start, and let's love to begin right here. So how do you feel now? Let's go?
Yeah, I think let's go.
Okay. So if you had to pick one defining moment in your career that truly shaped who you are as a leader now, what would be that defining moment be, and why?
Well, I would say not just one defining moment, but really two, right, in my entire career and journey. And it is actually very much grounded on, my years of experience in operational finance. So the very first defining moment was when I really stepped into a role in the real estate and fund management industry, right? Because with that, it actually brought me from just looking at numbers on the ground, right, and shifting into a more commercial and business perspective. So that is one turning point in my career. The second defining point is actually, having pivoted into a global role. Yeah, with one of the global real estate and fund management company as well. That actually brought about a lot more, or rather enabled me to understand a lot more about complexity, right? Navigating the uncertainties, the different business challenges from a global perspective. And it also, helped me to appreciate a lot more about the human elements behind managing businesses and organizations. So those are really two of the more pivotal moments in my career.
That's really a powerful reflection. And I see that these defining moments shape the road ahead for the leader like you. So taking that moment forward, may I ask you, how did your career evolve from where, actually, as you just explained, to the position you are now?
How has my career evolved? I actually started my career as a very junior accountant.
Okay.
Right, in the manufacturing environment. And I was actually very fortunate also along the way to have met with many good mentors and supervisors who have, guided and molded my career. And along the way, I think what I did was really to be very curious, right? Was to be open to taking up different roles and functions within the accounting function, right? And not be afraid to try new things. Yeah. And slowly, as I gain my experience, as I gain my credibility with my colleagues, I get a lot more different exposures into different aspects of accounting and finance.
Yeah.
Right? And that included, not just from the accounting perspective, but working with different business leaders to help them understand, what their P&L is all about. Help facilitate, some of the decision makings behind, and also having the opportunity to really participate or partake and even lead, certain systems transformation, reorganizations, business restructurings, etc. And that added a lot of color, to the accounting career that I have.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a whole set of spectrum across different functions in accounting, you say. You said about leadership, you said about transformation, structuring. So among all these, were there any phase in your career where the things didn't go as you planned for? And what did you learn from those kind of instances?
There was definitely, a significant turn in my career during my role, or rather during the global role that I've undertaken with. Back then, I was the global business lead for the systems transformation project across the group, right? It was a really challenging project in itself, because you really have to work with multiple stakeholders across the group, and that includes, my colleagues from Singapore to China, Japan, Europe, and the Americas, right? And it also involves, understanding the business and the finance operations in a very thorough and detailed manner.
Okay.
And how it cuts across, different processes, etc. While we managed to sort of I wouldn't say roll out, but we have gotten the solution to a really good state, right? I mean, in my opinion. But unfortunately, it didn't got rolled out as planned.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think sometimes while you can have the most perfect system, you can have the most perfect processes, but a lot of it has to do with the human elements.
Yes, that is very important.
Yeah. So being able to, integrate or at least, help the human aspects and bring them along the journey would be very important. Right? But that is always almost the most difficult part of the journey in itself. Right?
Yeah.
So the outcome didn't turn out as planned. But it was still a very fruitful journey because I think along the way I gained, a lot of experience and insights, and in learning how to manage the complex environment.
Okay.
And in learning how to, work with different people, right? And I've also along the way, learned how to manage myself better as a leader.
Understand, yeah.
So that I'm able to sort of not just work with others, but also hopefully to be able to lead and influence them to drive, certain organizational outcomes.
Yeah, I mean, being a consultant, I can very well understand how important the human element factor in any transformation or any project which you are driving. So it's fascinating to see those experiences, how those experiences shape not just careers, but the leadership as well. So let's build on that and talk about those moments that influence you as a leader you are today. So very general and very straightforward question I would ask. How would you define your leadership style?
My leadership style today, I think my style very much evolved, over my whole career and journey, right? When I was a younger leader, I think I'm a lot more impetuous, a lot more rash, a lot more, reacting to the situation, a lot more reacting to people's views, right? But as I mature and as I start to manage larger groups, start to work in larger organizations and in slightly more complex environment, I learned to listen more, right? I learned to sort of like move, not just looking at the details in terms of the numbers, etc., but also shifting my perspective from a more business perspective.
Okay.
Right? And being able to appreciate, right, not just what is showing up on the surface, but also how people are responding to you, and understanding the various, aspects of the relationship and how to build upon those relationships to be able to lead the team effective. So it's a lot more people-driven, I would say.
Yes.
Right? So that we can really work together as a team, to move things forward.
Yeah, considering on those lines, I mean, you wear many hats, including the leader, project leader, the CFO, the director. So, what are the top priorities during those times that actually drive your attention while you're performing those different hats as a leader and managing the entire set of people, entire set of spectrum, entire set of systems? So, what are those top priorities that drive your attention actually?
Top priorities, right? I would say being an effective finance leader is to really understand your numbers.
Okay.
Right? Understand the business driving the numbers, driving the performance, right? Because, and understanding the risks around the businesses, right? And being able to also not just understand, but being able to share, right? The knowledge and the insights with the different business leaders and with my team. In today's environment, right, which is really quite volatile, of course, depending on which industry you're in, it is very important to keep on top of all the changing or all the challenges that lie ahead. So some of the more economic side of things, right? Rising interest rates. Okay, maybe not rising at this moment, but with the impending war, with the war and everything, right? You know, things that's kind of like things are just not as predictable as it used to be, perhaps.
Yes.
Right? It's a lot more reactive today. And you really have to be aware and also be on top and be able to manage some of these business risks. Yeah.
Understand.
And of course, being a CFO, you also have to we also have to sort of like be mindful of what is changing outside in terms of technology, right? And how is it affecting our role, our jobs, being an accountant. So the evolving technologies these days is shifting a lot in terms of the way we work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, it's quite fascinating. You mentioned about numbers, right? Which is very important for any finance leader. But now you see the anticipating the future also is kind of gaining prominence and importance. So if I would turn the questions from leadership to the industry outlook or the future of finance point of view. So what do you think in today's disruptive era, what are the key trends that will shape the future of finance?
One of the trends, right, that everybody is really talking about today is AI.
AI.
It's AI. And the question is how AI works. And then, there are things like what people term as the traditional AI, which basically means automation, right?
Or analytics.
Or analytics, right? And of course, there is the so-called, and on top of that is the artificial intelligence bit. But how do we then sort of like wire that into our work? The automation part is probably something that is easier to address as long as there are clarity around the processes, right? Very logical, very streamlined, and something that you can write a program around how you want to automate your end-to-end finance processes. And data is actually very important when you think about automation and analytics, and even from a so-called artificial intelligence perspective, right? Without good data, without good thinking around how what the data is supposed to present the business with, no matter how good a tool or how advanced the technology is, you're not going to be able to showcase the outcomes that you desire. Yeah. So that's what I think, technology is going to become a disruptor, right, to the way we work.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. But it's also not just disrupting, but I guess it's also a very good tool in terms of productivity, right? It will be able to help with some of the more repetitive tasks, and thereby freeing up your time, as a business accountant, to be able to appreciate and be able to, using one of my ex-boss words, right, be able to see how the numbers sing and dance.
Okay, sing and dance, yeah.
Right? To really give you sing and dance in a sense, numbers are alive. Right? They are not just a dead set of numbers, they are not just a dead set of data. But how do you frame? How do you frame? Yeah.
That is important. Into the meaningful results, you mean?
Yes. And how does that enable business decisions, right?
Yeah, so coming back to this AI, because this is very prominent these days, and you also reckon about data, which may encompass data mining, data cleansing, data framing. So with this actually, so what do you think? I mean, what are the key skills that will define the future generation of finance leaders? I mean, apart from the core finance skills, what should they possess? Or what skills should they actually use to become the competent finance leaders going forward?
I will speak from a personal perspective, right? So what I think is important, right, to become a good finance business partner or business accountant is to really be able to, maybe what is commonly termed as critical thinking, curiosity, right? I mean, the core skills that every accountant possess, they will develop and acquire it as part of the education or as part of the grounding. But what is really important is to be able to think outside of the box as well. I mean, accountants, a lot of people see accountants as boring people.
Boring guy, right?
Right? And
like sitting behind the desk and then just do the work, that's it.
Exactly. So the way I mean, not everybody, but there are certain people who perceive the profession as such, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes it can be hard to attract
But it is not
talents.
the same as now. Yeah.
Yes, but it's not the same as now. And today with so much technology in place, right, what is really important is for the accountant, or at least for professionals like us, to be able to have critical thinking skills, to be able to look at things not just on the surface, but underneath and what is driving the numbers, and be curious and be able to, what I call, the way I teach my team is always, how do you actually look at your set of financial statements, not just from one angle, right? How do you make sense and make meaning out of the entire set of financial numbers?
Yes.
Right? And to be able to not just prepare it, but also be able to deliver and articulate the numbers in a sense that people can, I mean, a non-finance person can actually understand what it is talking about. Yeah. So communications, right? Critical thinking, a curious mind, the ability to take that set of numbers and showcase it into something that's meaningful for business leaders.
Yes. And on just to add on that point, as we mentioned, right now it's not the same, and you add on that it should give some meaningful value to even the non-finance person or the business user. So now even this role of the leader, finance leader or CFO, if I just add on something to what you actually highlighted, maybe they also need to integrate with other departments as well. They just cannot be confined to the finance only. Unless they understand the business, they cannot present the meaningful value on the paper, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the way you work with other people, the way you can influence them, and the way you communicate is also very important. So I think, the ability to collaborate across different departments.
That is also very important.
Yes, and to understand what each of the function is actually
doing.
And how do they actually contribute, into your set of numbers, such that you can really interpret it in a very meaningful manner.
Thanks. That's a very good insight from your end, and completely resonate with what we as a financial professional should possess or should do. Yeah, understand.
Yeah, because if you can't work with people from different functions, right? How are you then going to be able to see what is being presented? Yeah. How are you going to then develop, your skills and grow your career to a leadership position, right? And if that is what what one desire, right, to be able to grow your career, I think it is important to step out of the numbers and step into the business.
So coming into that, step out of the business, step into the business, just like a personal kind of a mindset has to be changed. So understand that industry continues to evolve, but ultimately when we follow that path, when we navigate that change, ultimately it comes down to the mindset and your at a personal level. So on that perspective, if I just change the tone from industry outlook to the personal mindset level question, so how do you approach the decision making when you feel certain kind of uncertainty in your functions? So how do you approach at a personal level those kind of tough environments?
So when it comes to decision making, I think it is very important to have the facts on the table. Right? So for example, I wouldn't say it's a decision, but a recent case that we encountered is, we had this issue with a certain contract or legal agreement, right? And all the options presented are like, nothing appears to be palatable, right? So then so the way I approach it would be, okay, first and foremost, what is it that we are losing? So we were prepared to give up our investment. We were prepared to give up our upsides. So that is actually the first principle. So regardless of which option, that remains constant, right? And then the next thing will, then we'll have to really look at the risk around that situation, right? And risk management is very important when you are caught in an uncertain situation, I feel. Yeah, because by assessing the risk, then you'll be able to determine, okay, what is my risk appetite? Am I able to accept it? If this is going to be the exposure, XYZ, which one do I feel most assured? Yeah, it can't be, of course, gut feel plays a part, but that cannot be the sole decision factor, right? The most important thing is like what I said earlier, having all the facts on the table, right? Then you'll be able to go through, the different, go step by step, right? Analyzing the facts, obtaining external opinion, right? And determine what is the next best course of action in the event of an uncertain situation. Yeah.
Okay. So how that kind of a situation or how that experience actually turned or influenced your leadership philosophy? If you just sum it up in a kind of a short summary, kind of what all these things, right, combined together influence your leadership philosophy the most. What do you think?
Influence my leadership philosophy the most. This is a difficult question. Let me see, what do I have? I think when I think about leadership philosophy, right, it goes back down to leading humans, right? How do you lead and bring humans through all the uncertain events and conditions? And how do you actually how do you actually bring them from point A to point B, right? Without point A to point B, without creating a lot of chaos.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like a seamless kind of.
It wouldn't be totally seamless, right? But how do you actually help to manage the uncertainty and the complexity within a manageable range, such that people can still feel supported, encouraged to move with you along, the difficult times.
Understood. I think that's sum it up very well.
Yeah.
Because that managing part is itself actually that demonstrates how good you are as a leader also. So if you navigate that path together with your entire set of team or some systems in a difficult environment, that's actually challenge you as a leader.
Yes.
And if you come out of it, actually you will know that what actually drove me to get into this phase.
Exactly. Yeah. Because in complex situations, you can't drive, for example, changes, right? You can't really drive change alone.
Yeah.
Right? When you are caught in a difficult situation or caught in a major project, you can't really work through it on your own. Right? You do need to have a good team, a good working team. Might not just be within the finance, it could be a cross-functional team. And being, a leader within the organization, how do you then, step up and lead the team to cross, the sea?
Understood.
Right? But more importantly, I feel there are also times as a leader you need to step back, right? Step back and assess the situation, because I might not be, the best person for that particular job at that moment or in that context. Then you need to have the humility to step back and say that maybe this role is for someone else. Right? In this case, I'll be the follower. You can be the leader. Yeah.
That's actually a very, valid point. And quite a lot of leaders don't accept that. Yes, it's good to hear from you that also kind of a trait of leader. Accept that certain situation if there are.
Yeah, if there are, of course, there will be occasions that you still need to rise up to it, right? But more importantly is within the entire, let's say, project or scope or organization, there will be certain things that you are not the best fit.
Oh, understand.
Right? Yeah, you might be leading that project, but you know that is not my key area of expertise. So under that circumstance or under that situation, it would be great to recommend somebody who is a better fit for that role.
Okay. I think on this note, if I ask you, because all these experiences, all these traits, you, as and when you work, it comes through experience, right?
Yes.
So no boardroom or no classroom can teach you all this.
No.
So just now you mentioned about this humility thing, right? Step back or step in. So is this the kind of a one big lesson that your career has taught you, or you think something else has more important place apart from this? What that career lesson you actually that is taught you?
I think there is definitely, one lesson because when I was much younger, right? You gung ho, right? You basically try and chase after a lot of things. I mean, think that I can handle, a lot of things, and you start to pile yourself with a lot of, try to achieve a lot, right?
Yes.
Right? Not that it's not impossible, but it's really, it really takes up a lot of energy, time and effort. It takes a lot of sacrifice as well,
Okay.
right? So at some point, it came to a point where, I realized that I can't do everything,
Yes.
right? Much as, I think those were my responsibilities or my work or my duties, right? But in actual fact, it's not. Because sometimes you need to allow others to shine.
Yes.
And sometimes you need to acknowledge, or at least I need to acknowledge that I can no longer do a certain piece of work. Or
Allow
it's
others
no
to
longer
shine.
allow others to shine.
Handhold them to bring them to a certain leadership position.
Yes. And also, it will come to a point whereby you realize that, or at least I realize that certain parts of the work is no longer what I'm good at anymore. I may have outgrown or outgrown that role or that level, and or I actually have to learn to delegate and to let go, right? But if I do not do that or without doing that, I can't grow,
Yeah.
right? I will forever be held back by things that I think I should be doing, right? But
It's
in
like a
actual fact,
realization is also important.
yes. So without understanding, without the awareness of letting go, I would say,
Yeah.
right? It would have been difficult to continue the growth in the career, both in career and both from a personal
Both personal
perspective,
life. So
right?
on that note, what would be your message to the aspiring finance professionals who aspires to become a leader? What is that particular message you would like to convey to them based on these life lessons and your experience?
I must say that being an accountant is not an easy profession. I'm sure I'm sure you concur. So I think it takes a lot of grit. Must not be afraid of hard work, actually. And one must always be open to trying out and learning different things,
Yeah.
right? Because having the exposures and having the opportunities to try different functions, different fields, would actually enhance or develop, one to become a well-rounded accountant.
Accountant.
Yeah. An accountant is not just a bookkeeper.
Yes. No more.
Yeah, it's more than a bookkeeper. And without that curiosity, without that, mindset, and more importantly, the grit, GRIT, right? The grit to become one. Yeah.
That's important.
That's really important because we plow through many long hours, late nights.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Especially during the peak periods. But if you look at it beyond, there's also a lot of learning. There can be a lot of fun. I don't know. I enjoy it still.
No, I think that's a very valid point. Actually,
Yeah.
now with all these insights from your experiences that you share today, I believe the viewers of this podcast will get a very meaningful takeaways. So before we close, just one last question. How would you like to be remembered as a leader and as a person?
I think between a leader and a person, maybe it's not too different. I really would like to be remembered as someone who has, been able to lead with humility, right? Someone whom people can look upon, if they basically a people leader.
People leader.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not just a what I call a technical leader, right? Being able to remember me as someone who has touched their lives or who has supported them in one way or another.
That's a really good message, and this is what actually most of the people would like to be remembered as. So thank you, Melanie. Thanks for your time. Thanks for a valuable time and coming here as a first guest of our SG Finance show. Actually, it's our pleasure to have you here, and thank you for all the insights and the beautiful conversations we had today. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.